Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Live. I'm Steve Leahy. How are you guys doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just going to get into it. I have one painting to show you. It was a busy week, and next week's going to be busy too, but I did get one done, so I'll show you that. But before I get started, just want to say huge thank you to the, I keep calling them star givers because that's a Facebook thing, but the super thanks from last week with Brian Moore and Michael McClung. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Last week we did the Memorial Day painting, and Bug showed up and just nailed the whatever it was, bid or so that goes to him, which is great. Dan Mayer won last week, which is also really cool. So that's what we got. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. I have this SprayGunner airbrush holder that was 3D printed, and I thought it'd be fun to just kind of mess around with it. Before we get going, I do not know what I'm doing with this kind of stuff. I mean, I've always done scale modeling and had a lot of fun with that. So a lot of this transfers, but painting these 3D printed items has become such a huge part of today's culture. And there are some guys and girls that absolutely kill this and have techniques that are off the scale or off the chart. I am not one of those people. I'm just going to have fun with it, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, so that's what we got today. So let me switch things around, and we'll look at the new painting. And I got a little bit of show and tell, which is kind of cool. And yeah, that's what I got. All right. I never know. This one. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one we want. And I'll say hello to everyone. Hello to everyone. Gary Shees, thank you so much, man. You're amazing. How do I can't do that here. I'll do that over here. Hold on. Hold up. Now this is the part when you know, my ancient tablet just does what it wants to do. But I want to see that because I want to see that. There it is. Yeah, there it is. Okay, great. Because that way I can put a super happy face next to that amazing thank you from Gary. Gary, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Ian, what's happening? Dan Mayer, what's going on? Dan, I have your painting. But we talked about it. I'm framing yours special, so hopefully that should go out this week. Everyone else's honeys should be going out tomorrow. And anyone else who placed an order. Patrick Redmond, dude, he's not here yet, but man, I dropped the ball on his, so I'm going to take care of that too. Ron, what's going on? Yay. All right, so let me do show and tell first, since I have you here. You guys remember the painting I did of the hallway in the Butler Institute of American Art? This is the amazing Audrey Flack. Put some light on that. The amazing Audrey Flack. This is actually, it's a sculpture, but this is actually, all right, so there's a doorway, an average doorway, probably about, I'd say 8 feet tall. So you get a feel for how big this is. It's about 12 feet tall. And this isn't the actual piece. The actual piece was meant for New York, and it was supposed to be like rival, like Statue of Liberty big, like 2 or 3 stories tall. It's supposed to be amazing. It never happened, but after it, the final sculpture ended up not happening. Audrey was a big fan of the Butler, and they went back and forth, and the Butler ended up taking this, which is amazing. So this is really cool. So this is Queen Catherine, and this is at the end of the Novak Gallery, which looks out over Wick Ave in Youngstown. So I was there one morning. It was beautiful. I just snapped a picture, and I'm like, that's it. It's got to be done. So this is my painting of the Butler. So I was talking about this because it's got a cool story with the frame. I actually have a frame from the Butler's collection. This was a sample from their, if you go to the museum and look at their Americana gallery, they have a lot of amazing Conti Conti pencil paintings, and as well as, you know, kind of, well, oil painting, everything. So anyway, this frame was one of the samples that they sent in when they originally were going to frame everything in that collection. So so I made a bid for it, and I got it. And so this painting is going to kind of go in this frame. I've already got the glass installed. This has got museum glass in it. The frames in the collection, oh no, they do have glass on them. I don't know if it's museum glass, but Still kind of cool. So the painting will sit right here, it basically kind of floating. What was really, really cool was proportionally this painting, and this wasn't planned, this painting is perfect for this frame, which I was okay if it wasn't going to be right, but this is scary perfect. So that's kind of how that went. Now the back of it, I have to build this up a little bit since this is a vintage frame from around 1961, 1960. I didn't want to do any kind of heavy modification to this frame because it is what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a backing on this, and just a complete back across the whole thing instead of, you know, kind of digging into it. There are holes all over it, so I can use some of those holes. But what's going to happen is, I've already done this. This is the back for this. And that's the business side of it. The painting will be on that. And then I've sanded and tongue oiled the back of this so it's nice and clean and shiny. And then the block of MDF will sit right in the middle of this. The entire background will be covered in marble, crushed marble from the Butler. And then this guy will be mounted right on there. So that's what's going on there. But the reason I want to show you is because I finally got in the fun parts about the back of this. So one of the things I was worried about and concerned about, and should be concerned about with small paintings, especially when they are of higher value, is that they're easy to pluck off the wall and take with you, which is bad, right? And let me say hello to everyone else. You guys are awesome. Look at you guys. Michael McClung, what's up? Disco, what's going on? Matt Nelson, I like Disco. That's better. Disco Not Dead. Great name. Ian Hart, what's up? Grumpy, what's going on? Matt Nelson, what's happening? Oh, Matt, I'm glad you're here, though. That's awesome. So back to this guy. So this is going to be the back. This is going to be the part that actually kind of, this part is the part that's going to be on the wall. And so I wanted a way to make sure that this painting and all future paintings, even my other small ones, have the ability to stay where they're supposed to be without having the owner worry about them. If you're hanging it in your house, chances are no one's going to take it because those are really crappy house guests if someone takes your paintings. But in a public setting, it's important. So what I decided to do was use French cleats on this, or it's just called cleats. But I needed special ones. Like a regular cleats you can get are really big, but I found these little 2-inch ones, which are awesome. And the way that these guys work, if you're not familiar with this, it's 2 little pieces like this. They got a little spiky on them like that. What happens is one of them goes on the painting like this. The other one attaches to the wall like this. And then what happens is when you get it all set up, the painting will just slide into this track and they'll lock together and that's it. It'll just stay on there like that. So it's a really neat way. It's a really easy way. You can get these, I mean, in any size. And then they're just a great way to hang a picture anyway. Never mind security. It just, once you get it all set up, there's no wires, no nothing. It just kind of slips on there and it's ready to go. It's a really cool way. But what I wanted was this overlap between the 2 pieces of aluminum. Because what happens is, the other part, which this was a new thing, is this guy here. And this is going to go at the bottom of this panel down low. And then what happens is this part attaches to the wall. So you screw this into the wall. So when you go to put the painting on, you hook it on the French cleats, and then this goes down in here, and this makes contact. I'll show it this way. And then once you turn this guy with a special tool, the bottom is now locked in. So you can't get this painting off the wall without ripping the wall out. So I thought it was a really cool way to go about it, but it took a while to figure out, you know, like where to find that stuff and, you know, the right size and all that fun stuff. So anyway, that is my framing journey. I honestly think I'm going to use that on all the paintings from now on. You know, it's just going to be a really cool thing because even if you don't use that big T-bolt at the bottom, you can just hang it on the French cleats and it's done. So if you're hanging it in your house and you're not really worried about someone stealing it, you'll have it, but you don't have to use it. So anyway, thanks for nerding out with me. Brian Moore, you were here. There was a couple questions from last week and I was holding off until people were here who asked them. And Brian asked about the points. Brian, I am so on that, but I have been terrible about figuring out how to get that chart in a JPEG so I can post it. But that once I get things settled, you'll be able to go to the community tab and I'll have a special post for that. And every week I'll just put up the new JPEG so you can see your points. But I am keeping track of them. And again, I have everyone who got points on Facebook. I'm planning on doing something special for those people. Brian, I know you were close to hitting the mark on Facebook, so that effort will not be lost. So don't worry about that. I saw that comment right at the end last week, and I didn't get to talk about that. But I'm glad you brought it up because it's important. The other one, I haven't seen Ryan on yet. Ryan asked a question about the tip drive for the new 4021. I'll get into that when we get painting. So, and that'll give him time to jump on if he's going to be here. All right, so let's look at paintings, and then we'll get painting. Last week, Bug. Brian Moore, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Jeebus, where's my $2? Exactly. That's another thing I wanted to mention too. The call for entries for Ashtabula, the big Ashtabula show, opened yesterday. I am not going to have the $2 painting done for that. So I have plenty of work. I have Albert's fender, the cool painting of the fender, and the pickup truck painting and all that. So I have plenty for that show, but the dollar bill painting won't make it. So that's going to kind of be backburnered, not long, because I cannot put that away and not work on it, because that's the curse of that painting. Don't want to do that. So last week, Bug asked for a pipe with a little bit of wispy smoke on it. And my dad smoked a pipe for most of his life. He quit. I say that because now it's skewed. He quit when he was down. He and my mom moved to Texas for a little while, which was now like maybe 20 years ago. Yeah, something like that. More than that, 25 years ago. So he quit smoking a pipe when he was down in Texas. But I, growing up, only remembered him. Yeah, I mean, that's one of my fondest memories is, him smoking his pipe and the pipe smoke and all that stuff. So this is actually a painting of his pipe. I took a bunch of photographs before he passed away, but yeah, I had a bunch of pictures, and whenever I get a chance to paint a pipe, it's always Dad's pipe. So this is Dad's pipe. And one of the things my dad always used to say right before you left, if you were taken off for the day, he would always just say, "Do good." That was his thing. And so the name of this painting, which I have right here, is "Do Good." So it was a great parting saying because, once you head out there, all you got to do is do good for someone. And that was his wish for you. So that we've all my brothers and sisters kind of, keep that saying. And so it's a great way for me to pass this on. So there you go. So if you win tonight, you can have Dad's pipe. Or you can pick any of the 543s that I have. So they're all on the website, and you can go nuts with that. The people, what is up? Chris Garcia, cheers to you. Ryan Jobaggy, yay, I'm glad you're here, because I'm going to talk about your question from last week that I did not answer. So there you go. All right, so that's all set. Again, there's only one this week. Honestly, folks, there's probably only going to be one next week, and I might not even get an open studio done for Wednesday. I'm going to try really hard. Things have been crazy here, but I'm going to do my best. All right, so let's do it. Let's get into this, because this is fun. Along the way, the fine folks at SprayGunner, when I got my Infinity from them, this guy here, I also got this really cool... I'm going to use the gloves for this because I don't want to get greasies on them. And if you, again, you know how it works. If you guys get any kind of, if you guys have any questions or whatever, just shoot them out. Let me know. Steve, what's up, buddy? Or Fitwubafi, which is what I'm going to call you from now on, Steve. All right, so here it is. Well, I'll actually show you this side. It's a very cool 3D printed. Not focused, probably not. Here we go. 3D printed airbrush holder. The airbrush kind of fits right in there, and it's got this cool little skull with a respirator on, and there's octopus legs all over him, and just a really cool thing. If you want to see some really cool progress on this, I know Dave Goldfarb has been working on one, and his is looking outstanding and amazing. So you can check that out. But I've had this for a little while, and I'm like, I want to mess with it. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I kind of want to have a underwater-ish feel to this because of the octopus and all that fun stuff. I got some plans for it, but yeah, it's super heavy. I don't know, again, I don't know anything about 3D printing, but this thing is solid. So it will hold an airbrush. You don't have to worry about it falling over. And they do sell these on their site, so you can just look up airbrush holder and you'll see it there. It's very, very cool. So that's what happened. So we're just going to run through it. It comes basically unfinished in this bluish color, raw PV, whatever I know I'm going to screw it up, whatever the 3D material is. And so it comes basically raw. So what I wanted to do is I have a couple, different colors that I want to use for this. But what I wanted to do is start out with a really good base. So I used Autoborn Sealer Dark or Autoborn Sealer Black on it. And I'll explain why in a few minutes. Again, what I'm going to go through on this, I'm a baby when it comes to, the miniature painting, all the Warhammer stuff and all that. So I'm just kind of doing what I think will work and messing around with it, and that's what we're going to do. So the point for tonight is, if you do want to get into this stuff, just grab it and have fun. Don't feel like you have to do some award-winning work right out of the gate. You can just mess with it. Oh, that's awesome, Ian. Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of fun. All right, so what I wanted to do tonight is I want to kind of work on the octopus type tentacles. I thought that would be a lot of fun. So where that started was I knew what I wanted, and it's something that I haven't seen, but something I kind of picked up from looking at Tim Gore's work, which is amazing. And Tim does a lot of layering. So when you look at his final, his final work, it actually looks like skin. It looks like, there's veins underneath and all that stuff. So that's kind of the look I wanted to get for these octopus tentacles. Again, because I'm a newbie at this, I wanted to make sure I wasn't just like going at this thing and not having any idea. So I did a little test panel, which is kind of fun. And you could do this too. So here is a scrap piece of Yupo that I have. I picked Yupo, excuse me. I picked Yupo because, let me move this over so you get more light. I picked Yupo because it's a synthetic material, and I figured it would be kind of similar to the feel of the 3D print. Brian Moore, famous the Hindenburg. Is that the one? You guys are doing it. If you're new here, please do what Dave just did and type in 543 and give me a suggestion to do. Bug, hopefully you got my message. The Normandy painting is on the front page of my site. You can just grab it. You don't have to, that way you can use whatever you want to pick that up. And thank you for bidding on that. That's amazing. You're awesome. Make sure, I feel like this is not focused. There we go. All right, so Yupo. So what I did was, first thing I did, just like the 3D print, is I sprayed it with Autoborn Sealer Dark, like that. So you see that, and I faded it down, so it actually fades from, well, you can't really see it because it was black here, and then faded out here. And then what I wanted was, I'm going to darken this a little bit. What I wanted was that feeling of those veins being under the, let me darken this just a little bit so you can see it. There we go. So I really wanted the feeling of those veins to be underneath this, like the very thinnest transparent layer of skin at the top. So I knew what I was going to be doing. I was going to be layering like a transparent layer on top of the veins to get that feel. Again, because this is one of the things that Tim Gore does really, really well. So what I did was I started by spraying white, or actually, yeah, that's what I did. I started by spraying the white base on it, which was just opaque white. And then I hand painted these veins on it all the way down. And I used different color blues just to kind of give myself a feel for which one was going to look best. In the end, that way, they all looked great. There wasn't one that was better than another. I think I ended up choosing Cerulean Blue, which is his first one. I like that one. And can you use candies over pearl? I tried and didn't turn out as expected. Yeah, you can, Brian, but that's one of the most skill-based things you can do is candy over pearl. So let me know on the side what didn't turn out the way you thought it was, and I'm guaranteeing I can give you a, a fix for that. Dave's taking off. Dave, oh, awesome. Good job, man. I'm glad. Enjoy that night out. That's amazing. So I painted the veins in, and I went all the way down into the black, just so I knew that, if I, painted on a spot that's black, what that would look like. I wanted to get a feel for it. And then I had the great idea, because I wanted to have kind of a shimmer, to use Wicked Cosmic Sparkle Silver. So this would be like the transparent skin on top, because this is essentially transparent. It just got the little bits of silver shimmer in it. So I thought that would be cool. I thought that would work. But this is why we do test panels. So that top part has that on it. It has a few coats of that silver. What I noticed is it didn't do anything. I mean, it's shiny, it's cool looking, but it didn't really cover the veins the way I wanted it to. So that led to the next section down here, which is what I did was took a little bit of white, went over it first to get it down to where I wanted it as far as the transparency level, like that veins underneath the skin look. And then after that, I hit it again with the silver, and that gave me just the look I was going for. So test panels are great. They cost you nothing. You can do them on whatever you got, and it'll save you a lot of aggravation and headache. I kind of had a direction that I was going in, but even if you don't, you can just mess around with stuff, and you don't have to worry about, trying it on the actual thing and then having to repaint the whole thing because, it didn't come out the way you wanted it to. Make sense? All right, so let's get to it. And because I was a smart doobie, I painted the, let me get my stand here. I painted one of them kind of to make sure that, again, that I was on the right track. So I finished one so you can see it. And we're going to do another one of the tentacles tonight so you can see the process and how I got it, and happy. This stupid stand I made for the pool ball thing, I've been using this for all kinds of stuff. It was really a good idea. The only thing I wish I did was I wish I put a big magnet on the back, but I did not. So anyway, I'm going to do this, maybe this, and I'll slide this down like that. And then I'm going to slide this over this way so it's angled towards you, and then I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I came out with in the end. And I will focus this, don't worry about it. But I really, really loved the effect when I was done. So there you go. So now there are these cool vein patterns in the 3D print, which is kind of what gave me the idea. I didn't do all the 3D veins. I just did a few of them, but they are kind of tucked in underneath, and there's like this weird wet silvery skin on top of everything. And then I painted the suckers and all that. So that's what we're going to do tonight. It'll be fun. We'll pick another one and go from there. So again, I'm going to say it again and again. I have no idea what I'm doing with this. I know there's a bunch of great ways to do this. There's probably a real efficient way to do it, like not do all the details in one spot, to kind of do the whole thing overall and then add the details as you go, that kind of thing. But one, that doesn't make a good video, and two, I'm impatient and I want to see how it's going to look. So that's what I got. Excellent, Matt. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, 4030 is probably going to be on its way out, as far as I know, because the 4050 does everything plus. Where's he going from work? Oh, cool. Welcome, Todd. Thanks. So yeah, excellent. Thank you for that, Matt. That's great. All right, so now the trick is to pick one that we can work on. This one, that'll be perfect because you guys can see the whole thing. All right, so again, I hit this with Sealer Black, so it's all set to go. It'll accept the paint really well. Most paints will stick to 3D prints pretty well anyway. I'm going to lighten this up so you guys can see it. I got the burps. Sorry about that. There we go. And so in here, you can really see that vein texture that's in there, which I thought was really cool. And I apologize. I would love to let you know who designed this for SprayGunner, where they got it from, but I do not know. So I should have done that homework before I got it going. Honey, What's up? Yay. Grumpy, if I didn't say hi to you, welcome. Rick Lotta. Oh, Rick, you got it. I'm so happy because I heard that the Canadian Postal Service was going on strike or was thinking about it, and I was worried, but I'm glad you got it. All right, so let's get to it. Now, the reason why I painted it black, because you could do this obviously with any sealer, depending on what the ultimate goal is. But what I wanted was in the areas like that are tucked in, like underneath, I want just a kind of a natural shading to happen there. And I don't want to have to spray the airbrush in those little pockets, or I want to do that as little as possible. Because one thing I do know about stuff with airbrush is that overspray loves to go where it's not supposed to. So if I just have to spray in those pockets, it's going to get everywhere. So I wanted to kind of give myself a running start at this. So what I'm going to do is, what am I going to do? Let's use the Eclipse for this. I'll use the Eclipse CS for this because it sprays white really, really well. The Micron is a good choice, but I'd have to reduce it a little bit, and I don't want to do that if I don't have to. Whose birthday is Michael McClung? Is it your birthday today? Happy birthday! I didn't know that. Yay! Good for you, dude. Awesome. I'd sing happy birthday, but that's not a good present. So we're not going to do that. You guys can do it, but I'm not going to do that. All right, so white in the brush, and what I'm going to do is, so I'm kind of thinking about where the light's coming from on this. So you can see it actually because the light is actually coming from there, but see how the tops are all highlighted? That's kind of what I'm going to start with. So there we go. So the upper sides of all this tentacle is going to get the most of this white. And then as I get to the where it's tucked in the corner here, I'm not really going to spray anything in there at all. A little bit, but not really heavily. I just want to keep that shading going. Same thing down in here. So the light would hit the top of this tentacle here. And then the curve here would get a lot of light. And then the end of his tentacle here. Now, I'm not particularly worried about overspray on the other parts, like the skull and the strap for the respirator. And I'll show you kind of what I was thinking, or what I decided to do, which worked out pretty well. Originally, if I'm a big, when I'm doing a painting, I'm always working back to front in the scene. So if I'm, the first thing I put in is the sky because it's farthest away, and then whatever landscape is farthest away, and then just keep building up until the last thing you do is the thing that's closest to you. I was actually going to start doing that with this, but I realized the problem, and this is what it is. So say I did, I did the skull and I did the respirator and this cool coral, whatever rock stuff that's down here. And then I went and sprayed the tentacle, I'd get paint all over the stuff I already sprayed. So, and this is not the kind of thing I think you can mask off easily. So I'm like, oh, if I spray the front stuff first and then just kind of go around it, I'll be able to kind of get it to where it needs to be. And that worked out really well. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to have to move this around. I'm going to try to keep up with the focusing. But please yell at me if I'm working and I hold this thing and it's not in focus. Because again, this is a weird one because it's three-dimensional. So let's start by doing this a little bit. Again, I'm hoping that this is going to stay in focus, even though this part up here probably won't be. All right, so now that I've got the main sources of light kind of done, I can just add a little bit more of the white to the rest of it, just a little bit. Again, I want that gray to be tucked in between, and that's pretty much it. A little bit more down there, and that's good. So again, if I was doing this without you guys, I would do this to all the tentacles. I'd do all the tentacles at once, but we're not going to do that because, we're not going to do that. All right. Next thing, I want to switch this. Hey, Steve, Marmaduke. What's Marmaduke? What'd I miss? Latex masking works well on my prints. Matt, that's awesome. Thank you. See, that's what I need. I need people who know what the hell they're doing to chime in. So please do. That's awesome. Yeah, liquid mask would, I guess, would work really, really well because it would get in the, corners, and then you can just pluck it out when you're done. That's a really cool thing. Some of it, I think you could use like a real thin tape. If it's like if I was masking off like the strap here, I know I could get tape in there too, because you don't need it to stick everywhere. You just need it to kind of like stop that little bit of overspray. So again, listen to people who know what they're talking about. Don't listen to me. All right, let me turn this on because we'll need this. So again, here are my blues that I tried out earlier. I would love to tell you which one is which, but I don't know. So I'm not going to take a chance. Cerulean was the one I ended up going with. Actually, Cobalt, shocker, my favorite blue, was the one I really liked, but I'm almost out of it. And I didn't want to start this and then run out and then not be able to finish it. So I went with Cerulean because I got plenty of it. Fake skin from Halloween store bottle. Yeah, that's awesome. See, that's why we have people who know what they're talking about here. That's cool. Fake skin. That's a great idea. All right, let me get this rolling. So again, I have been building scale models since I was a kid. I started that Model Monday thing, which I really want to get back to. I was having a lot of fun with building that. The ATST model. I will get back to that once things slow down a little bit, but it's funny, I keep saying it in the Model Monday thing, like little Steve, man, does he wish he knew Big Steve. Like if I had access to the airbrush when I was doing scale modeling, it would have been a whole different thing. So, but it is what it is, all right, great. So next thing, I've got the cerulean blue out there. Or actually, I pointed to the wrong one, that one. I'm going to use the same watercolor brush here. And now I'm just going to paint in those veins. Or veins or arteries. Which one bring blood back? I need a medical student or someone, again, who's smart. But basically, what I want to do is I want to trail them from the base of the tentacle as they go out to the tip. So I don't want to do them in reverse because that would be dumb and it would make me look even more stupid. So I'm just going to kind of pick some of these textures, these little line textures that are in the 3D print, and I'm going to kind of echo them. Again, I didn't use all of them because I just like that there's some that, are just going to kind of be what they're going to be. But I thought it would be really fun to kind of like track along some of them to give it not only the color, but also that three-dimensionality. So again, I'm thinking thick to thin as I come across this, and I can start them in the middle as long as I don't make them heavier than the ones I've already done. So just kind of keep these in here. One thing I did find out when I was kind of doing my test panel is originally I was gun shy with them. I didn't want to put them in too heavy. But what I found was I really do have to get them in pretty, stout so that you can see them after everything. Excellent, you guys, good. Take advantage of Matt. Sorry, Matt, you're on the block tonight. All right, so again, I'm just going to kind of follow some of these lines, and I'm just going to kind of trail them off. And I'm going to turn this a little bit so I can see what's going on. You guys can see this part here, but I cannot. So this is also the fun part for me. If I tilt this too much, I can't see it. Or if I tilt it the other way, then you guys aren't going to be able to see it. So it's a compromise of both of us. But we will make it work. Again, I talk about the Autoborn sealer all the time. For me to paint on this, even though it's a 3D print, whatever it's made out of, it feels like I'm painting on UPO or aluminum or whatever else I paint on. Because that Autoborn sealer basically levels the field. It makes it feel like everything else that I paint on. So as I move the brush around on this thing, it feels like everything else that I paint, you know, like doesn't matter the surface, which is great. You know, that's really, really helpful when you're, you know, for me, not struggling, but struggling with a three-dimensional image here. Like I'm used to painting flat, so now I'm dealing with having to move the brush around without, you know, having to do wonky things. The last thing I want to worry about is how this paint is going on the surface. And because I'm familiar with how, you know, the paint goes on sealer, that's not a worry. It's just off the table for me. I think that's good. I think I got enough of them on there. See how they all work like that? Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so now the next step, again, this is where I kind of had to do that little test panel. I was originally intending to just spray the silver over and have it look great, but the silver really didn't cover the blue the way I wanted it to, which was really good because it gave me a chance to also play with this now. If the silver was just going to do its job, then I wouldn't be able to add little, you know, highlights and stuff where I needed to. So I'm basically going to do the same kind of thing that I did to spray this in again, but just keep the transparency down. And the way I'm doing that is I'm not putting out a bunch of paint. This paint here is straight out of the bottle, so it's just white. So again, I'm going to start with the lighter areas to get those kind of knocked out. Oh, and what Ryan asked, this is a good time to bring that up. Have I noticed less tip dry now with the 4021 as opposed to the 4011? No, I have not. But I had a system going where I was mixing 4050 with 4011 and using kind of a spiked cocktail of reducer and 4050. And I think the 4050 really helped to smooth out the tip dry. So I never really had a problem with the 40, you know, the 4011. But I will take people's word for it, you know, straight out of the gun. If you just add 40, you know, 4011 or 4021 to the new paint or to the paint, then it works much better. I like I said, it works great still. So that's what I got with that. All right, so I've got pretty much those highlights done. So now I'm going to go over it really lightly with white again to kind of put that transparent layer over the rest of the veins. And I really want to go slow here because it'll be easy to blow things out and cover them. This paint is really opaque, and you know, then I'd have to start the process over again. But the problem with that is if I go too heavy, now I don't have these cool grays that are in here, you know, because I've covered it too much with white, you know, so that's kind of a bummer. So I want to really kind of go slow with this and let it do its thing. You know, and then what I do, like anything, if I feel like I have enough, I stop and really take a look at it and say, okay, is that good? If I'm on the fence and I can't decide, then I don't put another coat on. That's just one of the pieces of advice I wish I had when I was starting. If you're on the fence, don't, because 80% of the time, adding that extra layer is going to be too much. Like right about now, I feel good about that where it is. So yeah. Awesome, you guys. Good, good, good. Again, if you're new, welcome. 22 minutes to showtime. We're going to get so much done, honey. This is awesome. Yeah, your suggestions were amazing last week. I'm sad I only got to do one of them because you guys knocked it out of the park last week. There were so many that I wanted to do. All right, so now we are ready for the silver. And this is Wicked Cosmic Sparkle Silver. You could also use Cosmic Sparkle White. I'm almost out of it. So what I wanted was this Cosmic Sparkle has a really fine, oops, you can't see it, has a really fine grind to it. So it's very shimmery. It's not a big sparkly color, but it's got a really cool effect to it. And like I said, originally I thought that this would be the one that would cover because the grind is so small. If you put enough of this on, it really can cover. Bug! Thank you, buddy. But it didn't really cover the way I wanted it to. So, all right, so for this paint, because this is so heavy, I'm going to use my modified Eclipse, which is the Eclipse CS with the 0.5 millimeter. And gone again. You're the best, man. So this has a lot of, you know, pigment load to it as far as the size of the grind and everything. So it's also thick. So I need a heavy duty brush to do this, but I also want something that's going to not just hose the whole thing down. I want some control. So that's why this brush has been a favorite of mine for a while. So if you're looking for anything, I would suggest, you know, any kind of gravity feed airbrush that has a 0.5 millimeter nozzle. They're not common because it's not something that these brushes are usually set up to do. Usually gravity feed brushes are, you know, small stuff, but you know, having a gravity feed that can handle a thicker paint, it's a good thing. So speaking of that mix, I'm going to add a little bit of that to it. Now this says 40-11 and 40-50, but what I've done is I've switched over to the 40-21. So it's still the same ratio, 1:5, 1 part 40-50 to 5 parts reducer. But again, this gives me that spiked reducer while still allowing it to not only have transparency, but help it flow a little bit better. So really kind of cool stuff. Color graphics, what's up? Potato chip, that's a good one. I don't think I've ever done a potato chip. Finally getting over this dumb cold that I got in Los Angeles. Actually, I didn't get the cold in Los Angeles. I'm positive I got it on the plane, but regardless, I'm just about done with it, which is good. All right. So there you go. So now that's all nice and done. What are you doing there, brother Robert? All right, I'll save that for Scotch, Bob. Thank you, brother. All right. Ooh. So there it is. So now that's thin enough to go through here. And again, because I have this thin, it's all about control. I want to cover this thing, but I also want a bunch of control. So again, what that means is you put stuff on in light layers. There's never an instance where you just spray it out of the bottle, or except for the, you know, the base coat. There's never an instance when you're doing this kind of work where you just hose it down and you're done in one coat. For me, it's always multiple coats. It always works out better. Cheese, grits, and NyQuil, what is up? All right, so again, nice and slow. Again, keep in mind though too, this is gonna cover, you know, if I put enough of this on. But again, I'm just going for that shimmer. I'm going for that transparency squid skin thing, you know? So spray it, let it dry. I'm just using the airbrush to dry it off. Line and Kugel. I love Liney's. I love Chippewa Falls. I love that Jack Links is in Hayward or close to Hayward so I can get, you know, awesome beef jerky. A Raven. That's a good one, honey. All right, so just kind of rolling this around so I can get this in across the board here. And I'm paying real close attention to this brush. So if it starts to not spray, the last thing I want to do is keep trying to get it to spray. I'll just move off the whatever I'm working on and then just blast it out because it means there's some sort of chunk in there. So spray it till it, you guys are at a rough angle, but I can see when it goes on because I can see the wetness of the paint. So I get the kind of thing covered and then I stop and I just spray it. And then as I spray it, that, you know, that wetness, you can see it evaporate. So you're painting kind of, you know, on an angle. James Cully, what's up, brother? All right, another coat. I think that's good. I think that's good. I'm going to leave that in there because I may use it again. But yeah, so now I've got that whole thing with the shininess, that transparency. Let's see if I can make sure that's focused for you guys. I think you are, yeah. So you got that shimmery shininess, but you notice in the darker areas, I've used the black to kind of be that shading. I'm going to emphasize that a little bit, but yeah. Oh man, Steve, that's a crazy one. I like it. You guys have the best suggestions. All right. All right, so next up are the suckers. So for that, let me turn this back on. I've already mixed up some stuff. I wanted this uncomfortable pinky skin color right here because I wanted it to feel like, you know, anytime we tie something to humans in a weird way, it makes us feel uncomfortable. So having these suckers be like skin color, I thought was a really kind of a twisted thing to do. And it worked out well. You see the side here. They kind of have this like eerie like skin color, which is gross. And that's what I wanted. So that's what I did. All right. So it's already mixed up on the brush. It's pretty straight ahead, assuming this hasn't dried out too much, which it has not, which is good because I don't want to mix it again. All right. A little bit of a reducer in there to liven it up, but it's like a pinky flesh tone. So, you know, here's the thing, you know, could you airbrush these? Probably, but there's such a nice edge on them that it was just easier for me to grab the paintbrush. I wasn't worried about the overspray on these because I knew that the base color here is opaque white. So I knew that it would cover whatever I sprayed. And again, you know, because it's dried paint, it just kind of goes on there really nice. It wants to stick to it, you know, which is wonderful. What I did find with this, you know, most of this paint is, again, you know, it's not really just one and done as far as the coat goes. Because it's water-based, it's pretty much what I expect with water-based paints. If you're going for an opacity, usually you have to make a couple coats on it to get it to work. Look like donuts. Yeah, flesh donuts. That's just what we want. Oh, the other thing I did too is I went down a little bit on the sides. Yeah. So I was working on this thing, you know, earlier today, like after lunch, I started it just to get it ready for tonight. And it brought me right back. It's so relaxing for me to do, you know, this kind of stuff. So I really, really enjoy it. And again, I keep saying I'm going to get back to the Model Monday stuff, and I will. You know, again, I just got to clear enough time that there isn't a million things going on. Okay, so I'm not overly worried. I mean, you know, the brush is sometimes it's skipped out into an area that it shouldn't, like along the edge especially. I'm not worried about that because I'm going to go back in with another color to kind of clean that up. But again, you know, I just kind of want to try to keep it close. And then hopefully you can see like when I did that one right there. When you hit it with that second coat after it dries, it really like, it only takes 2 coats. So again, the moral of this story is be patient. You know, I know we want to like get things done. We want to hit it in one shot and then have it be done. But life doesn't work like that, ever. Mount Etna eruption, that's a good one. Michael McClung. Michael, did they say Jimmy's in Maryland? They must. I thought that was just a New England thing. That's awesome. Whenever we had people visiting in Massachusetts and we take them for ice cream, and I asked them if they wanted Jimmy's, they'd look at me like I was, you know, like what, we're going to steal a car? Like, no, Jimmy's, you know, Jimmy's on your ice cream. I found someone who called them Mousies, which I never knew. Chocolate sprinkles are pretty much the universal, though. But yeah, Jimmy's, I thought that was a New England thing. That's awesome. I call them ants. That's funny. Oh, man, now I want ice cream. I was talking to Marge about, well, you know, about all kinds of stuff. One of the things we were talking about is stuff like I can't have in a house because I have 0 willpower with, and one of them is ice cream. Like if if I have ice cream in the house, I'm going to eat it all, like fast. Same thing with Oreos. Like if I have a package of Oreos, that's a one sitting thing. Now, that's obviously not good for you. So, don't do it. But yeah, I love Oreos and milk. And, I love a good cookie. And Chips Ahoy is not a good cookie. However, Chips Ahoy with a cold glass of milk, I could eat an entire container of Chips Ahoy cookies as well. And then hate myself and, regret all my life choices. So there's that. I got a few on this guy right here. And that's looking good. Now I think I can run through a couple of the second coat ones. Sprinkles. Scoreboard. Oh, stop, Bob. I saw last week. I missed it, but when Dee was saying hi, I missed that. But as soon as I saw that comment, I'm like, oh, what score squares? Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, so that's rough. I can't do ice cream because I eat too much of it, and trying to be good. Oh, there's a sucker way in there, which is almost worth not doing, but I'm doing it because why not? Again, this one is basically in the black. I didn't get any white paint in here, so just the fact that it's, painting on black will give it kind of a grayish, weird tone. I think that's good. This one needs a little bit of love in the front here. Another second coat. These ones here that are really visible, I want these to be like really fleshy color because, again, this is going to go on my bench. No one's, going to see it. But, if it was going, like if it was on a piece of art and I was going to sell it, I would be thinking of these things. Like these ones here, you're going to really see. So I want to make sure that they, they have a lot of the detail to them. Same thing with the ones on the top. I want to make sure they're good too. And, it's a good habit to get into, even if it's, for you or whatever. But again, it's fun, and it's supposed to be fun. When it stops being fun, you don't do it. Wait, what did I miss? Yeah, I heard Jeremy Carey passed away. That's crazy, Gary. I didn't even know. I didn't know what was going on. So it continues, We've had a stretch of the last 5 years that have absolutely sucked. Between Terry Hill and Mike LaValle and Kiwi, Terry, it's just no good. All right. That's good. Yes, we'll do a studio tour as soon as I finish building the super studio. I will definitely take you guys on a tour. What time we got? Are we close? 6:55. Good. This is a perfect spot to break. So what we're going to do is we'll give away the painting or a painting, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up this tentacle. Again, what we're looking for is getting it to this point here. And you'll notice a couple other things that I haven't done yet. So hopefully that'll be cool. And I screwed up already, but we'll talk about that when we get back. All right. Again, what could go wrong? So, all right. So that's that. I don't need that there. I can, whatever. I can leave that. Fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. So again, thank you to Bug for reminding me. Not that I need reminders because I think about the dude all the time. But here is my pipe. Bug asked for a pipe with smoke streaming out of it, and that's what I came up with. So if you're a member here, I say this every week. You've already seen the time lapse for this, which is going to air tomorrow. So if you're not a member, you can catch this tomorrow, so you can see how I did this, and it'll be the time lapse for tomorrow. So I did do that. That's how that worked. So good job on that. Oh wait, what's that? Oh, that's cool. Anyway. Very cool. All right. So there were 9 people on the list this week. And again, the only reason there's 9 is because there were like 25 people that already won, and they made suggestions and they were awesome, and I'm super happy with that. So So they don't get to be on this list because you only win one per year. So the list looks like this. Bug is number 1. Brian Moore, all your favorites. Tony D is on there. So we got a good group. So that is our 9 for tonight. And the 9 are here. And your winner for tonight is, as soon as I can find the mouse, this laptop just doesn't want to play right, is number 8. Wait, there we go. Sean. Sean, you were on last week, but I don't know if you're here tonight. So congratulations, Sean. You are our winner. Hooray, hooray. Good job, buddy. So Sean, if you're here, you get first dibs at the pipe painting, but you can certainly go on my website, look at any of the 543s, and hey, Tim, what's up? I didn't see you jump on. Timothy John Luke Smith. Yeah, so Sean, you can jump on the website. If you're watching this after the fact, you still won. You don't have to be here to win. You just have to be here to be entered to win. So you can just go on, pick a 543, and then just send me a private message with your shipping address, where you would like it sent to, and I will get that out. And I promise I will not be like I was with Patrick Redmond and not send his out for months. So I promise I will do better than that. All right, let's finish this up. Let's finish this tentacle up. I hope I like stay inspired on this and want to keep going with it. I hope it doesn't end up just sitting on the shelf like, you know, the other half-done stuff that I do. All right, so the thing right before we broke, the thing that I forgot to do, if you notice right around the edges, there's this cool like olivey green color right in here. I sprayed that before I did the tentacles when I did this side, because that's the correct way to do it. But I didn't do that here, so we're going to have to kind of wing it, which isn't going to be too bad because, you know, I can use a more detail-oriented brush, airbrush, and I'll be able to kind of thread the needle, as it were. Yar. I know, Grumpy. Grumpy, the good news is, and if you talk to anyone who's been around here Monday night for a while, by the end of the year, all the regulars get a painting. That's the way it works out, because we run out of new people sometimes because, you know, we give away 52 of them a year-ish, you know. So have faith, my friend, have faith. All right, so I'm going to pick kind of an olive green for this, kind of an army green. And I picked this because I love the yellow in it. And this I'm going to leave pretty much straight out of the bottle because I want a lot of control on this. So what I'm talking about is, if the paint is thicker, it doesn't overspray as much. If it's real thin, it has a tendency to spray a wider pattern and kind of go everywhere. Now, the upside to that is when it's really thin, you can get really close and you do get a lot of control there because the paint comes out very thin and you know, and basically we'll operate through a small brush. But for this, I want to make sure I don't get this green on these fleshy suckers. Say that again. So it's a little bit thicker, and all I'm going to do is just kind of tuck this in between really lightly and just give the edge, the bottom edge, just a little bit of that green, and where the black is in here too. I'm back for the drawing. Bug, not this week. I feel so bad. I feel bad when people don't win. It's like with Kyle, you know, when Kyle was like, it just seemed like he was so close so many times, but Kyle got his, so, you know, you'll all get yours, and I'll be happy. All right, so again, I'm putting this green in the darker area, just kind of tucking it in just a little bit, you know, nothing crazy. I still want that, the black to kind of pop out, to be, let's see, there we go. I still want that black to kind of show off, make it feel like it's tucked in. But I also want to give it this weird kind of greenish glow. The end of this guy down in here too. Like right in there. There he is. I know. Speaking of me. All right, there we go. Oh, maybe more, a little bit more right there too. Yeah, nice. So again, not crazy, just enough to kind of give it a little something, something. All right, I'm going to get rid of this because I need this brush for the next step. So for the next step, I want kind of like a real subtle pattern on the top of the skin to give it that last little bit of kind of interest, you know, kind of cool, like modeled type of thing. So for that, what I'm going to use a little bit of black, but this is pretty much reduced down to nothing. Is I want this to be super transparent and super light. And I'm going to use, where's my Gerald Mendez template? Here it is. So to get that kind of texture, I'm going to use, you know, one of the Gerald Mendez templates. These are great for this because you can bend them really easily. I was using the Drew Blair template, which is his skin template, which is also an amazing. I'm going to have to back this out so you can see it. This is the skin template from Drew Blair, and this is amazing, but this is on a nice piece of, you know, thicker plastic or whatever, you know, plastic they use for templates. So this is excellent for a flat surface, but on something this small, it's difficult to get this to wrap around. So I was using this a little bit, but I switched to the Gerald template because the Gerald template is like an infused, like a saturated paper with some sort of weird space age material on it. Oh, honey, your stuff is going out tomorrow too. Tomorrow? I think tomorrow. Yeah, I think tomorrow. Yeah, honey, your stuff is all buttoned up. All right, so again, this little guy, I can really like bend this around. And again, I don't want to go crazy with this. I just want to lightly spray in the lightest areas. So it, oh, there we go. I want to make sure there's no green in that. I want this is black in here now. So I just want to kind of hit it a little bit in the lighter areas and then pull it off. And this will give me just a weird little texture on top of the skin. And it looks like it's on top of the skin because it rides over the veins and sits on top of the sparkle as well. So again, you know, it took a little bit of kind of figuring out like what stage to do what, but that's what those cool test panels are for. And that's it. That's what we got for that. So now I can finish the tentacles. I meant to do all that before I did the suckery part, but yeah. Yeah, Grumpy hasn't won yet, but it won't take long. Because now that's one more person off the list. So Sean won his, and we're all set. All right. So for the, where is that? This one? Yeah. So for the details on the little suckers, I use the same skin tone color, but I added a bit of black and some brown to it to give me this darker skin tone. It's still really gross and like rose colored. So I started in the middle of the suckers and just started putting these little, you know, kind of wrinkles. Actually, not dark or not opaque enough. So I started putting these little wrinkles in the radiating out from the middle, again, to give it even more weirdness, you know. So you can see what I'm doing here. Wait, Dave, are you moving? Yeah, Ian, I think this is because I'm going to spend too much time on this, and I don't know how fast I'll be able to get it done. So for me to say, you know, let's do bids on it or whatever, wouldn't be real fair because I don't know when I'm going to get it done. Now, when it's done, I may do something and maybe we'll let it go, but I will let you guys know. Like I said, there's so much going on right now that I know I'm going to end up shelving this guy for a little while. Or maybe what I'll do is, because I'm into it right now, maybe I'll just kind of pick at it here and there until it's done. I don't know. But again, if you want to take a shot at this, SprayGunner does sell these. So if you're placing your order with SprayGunner, you can just, you know, throw one of these on. They're a lot of fun. All right, so for the edges, so right now it just seems like they're kind of like little, like we were talking about, donuts, like fleshy donuts stuck on this thing. So I want to give it a little bit of help, you know, to kind of make that connection. So I'm going to thicken this paint up a little bit by adding a little bit of black, a little bit more of this flesh tone. What I want is something a little bit more opaque. And this kind of got pastel-y, so I'm going to grab some brown. Yeah, maybe a little bit of the green too. Again, we want it uncomfortable. Yes. Yes. Okay. This is like kind of a weird grayish, fleshy green. Zombie green. So now I can go around the outside edge of these tentacles and just kind of bring them into like how they would attach to the suckers and how they would attach to the tentacles. Yeah, you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm afraid I'm running off the thing. Yeah, Michael, they're just so much fun. And that's the beauty. Like that's one of the things I'm really trying to stay away from as a 3D printer, because I think I just, you know, kind of go nuts with it. And for me, it would be a distraction more than, you know, something. It would certainly be useful. I would use it all the time, but I think it would take away from all the other things I got to get done. But I would love it. And one of the reasons I've resisted digital art for so long is for the same reason. But I finally got Procreate up and running on my iPad, and I've instantly fallen in love with it. So, you know, I'm not going to be, you know, it's not, digital art isn't going to be the thing that I do, but sure is fun when I'm messing around with it. So, all right, so there we go. So we got a little bit of that, and now you got that. So now that tentacle is pretty much there. It's all done. The nice thing about this too, this is what adds that level of weirdness to it. The tentacle has this shine to it. You can see it as I move it, right? It's got that shimmer from the silver, but yet the suckers are like dull and just kind of like there. It's like gross, which I love. It's awesome. All right, so to end this out, I'm going to kind of show you how I fixed the issues with the other stuff, meaning, like, you know, if I've got overspray on the skull and I've got overspray on these cool rocks. Honestly, in the end of the day, it wouldn't have made any difference. Because when I spray the skull, I think I'm going to do kind of a mossy, like moss-covered underwater skull type of thing. So that little bit of overspray is going to be like gone in the end. But say I wanted the skull to be black, you know, I want it to be that, you know, that same thing with the rocks. It's super easy, which I found out. Which brush am I using for this? I've used all my brushes. Hold on one second. Let me clean this out. So what I did on the other side was I took the Autoborn sealer, the black, and I just sprayed around the tentacle and cleaned it all up. And that's something that I would normally do in a painting as well. Like if I get overspray on another part of the painting that shouldn't have it, I would just kind of mix that color and just erase it essentially. So I'll show you how that works here. So the nice thing about this method, and again, I say method as if I know what I'm doing. I really don't. But the nice thing about what I found with this is I don't have to mask everything off. I don't have to, you know, go through the trouble of like, you know, just worrying about how I'm going to keep everything clean, because again, like we talked about with the paintings, if I can fix it, I don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? So with this brush, this is the Eclipse CS, the regular stock Eclipse with the 0.35. So I've got Autoborn sealer in this, and you guys didn't see that, but I threw a little bit of reducer in there too to thin this out. Now normally you don't want to do that with Autoborn sealer. You want Autoborn sealer to be, you know, as they recommend, which is only about max like 15 to 20% reduction. But for what I'm doing here, and I'm just like covering up the overspray, it's okay if this is a little bit, you know, more aggressive with the reduction. So I've got sparkles on the skull, I've got white on the skull, so all I do is just kind of go over this really, really lightly. And again, light layers are what gives me control. And then with this brush, it's got really fine detail to it, so I can get right up against the parts I just did without getting a ton of overspray. I will get some overspray on the tentacle, but don't forget, like those tucked in edges are, really dark anyway. The part I want to be careful of is the strap here. Because the strap is close to the bright parts, and I don't want to do that. So move down to the rocks, and same thing, just let that paint just kind of lightly cover the overspray. Because don't forget, the overspray is really light too. It shows up really a lot because I have white on black, so you see it, but it's not that thick. It's not like heavy duty paint. Same thing on this tentacle, but I really don't have to do this because this tentacle is going to look just like this one anyway, so it's going to get the same treatment, but you get the idea. And again, I'm going to harp on this. The trick is to go light layers multiple times, Just take your time. Don't try to hit it all in one shot. And there you go. So now it's all cleaned up. Like I use mask, right? Cool, yeah. The other thing too is I started messing around with the band. So I did the band as, that focused probably not because I'm closer now. I did the band with the paintbrush. I'm not sold on that yet. So, I'd show you how I did that, but I'm not sure that that's going to be what it's going to be in the end. I did want a, not a gray rubber band. I wanted like a leather type band. So that's what I started doing with that. But again, I haven't done enough work with that yet to really get that going. The other thing I thought would be really fun to do, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off, is the actual part that holds the airbrush right here. I wanted to do in just like a bright silver, like the, like the Chroma Air. This is the like the metallic silver that they have that SprayGunner sells. I want to do that up there, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do that because if I end up clearing this whole thing, I'm not sure how that's going to look. The other fun thing that I was thinking about as I was thinking about clearing it, again, like I love that this is shiny and this is matte, so that means I can't go over this whole thing with like one type of clear. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that either, but that's the fun of it, right? So there you go. I don't know. All right, honey, thank you so much. We're just about done, so you're awesome. You made it to the end. Yeah. And yeah, so that's it. I'm going to switch out to the farther away camera so you can kind of get a feel for it. But man, this was fun. I'm having a good time doing this. So there's one side with the tentacle and there's the other one. I'll get you guys close. Actually, you know what I'll do? Look at that there for a second. I'm going to move the macro camera out pretty far so you get a full but closer view of it. There we go. So there we go. So that's what we're looking at right now. That's the side I did earlier today. Oops, I'll get fingers out of the way. And that's the side I did tonight. So yeah, so it's fun. So I'll take a good picture of this too, and I'll post it up tomorrow so you can get it without the studio lights on it. But it'll be a lot of fun. I'll get the rest of the tentacles done. And like I said, I'm going to have, I think the front part of this is going to be skull colored, but there'll be like this algae like all along the edge kind of growing out. And that'll be a lot of fun. The respirator, I think, is just going to be a standard respirator because there's so much going to be going on with this. Your eye needs a place to rest. And I think the respirator will be a good spot for that. So that's going to be standard respirator colors. And other than that, it's all tentacle and then the coral too, which I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. But again, go check out Dave Goldfarb and go back through his posts and check out what he did with it or is doing with it. It's really, really cool. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on with his. So yar, that's what I got. And I say yar like a pirate because that's what we got. Sean! Yeah, see? Sean knows. There you go. That's why I have smart people here. Sean, I don't know if you know this, but you won tonight. Congratulations, my man. So tonight's, if you want this, let me know right before now. Tonight's painting was my dad's pipe, but you can choose any of the 543s on my website. So you just go on just go to stephenleahy.com and pick a 543, then send me a message. What I'm going to ask you guys, I'll switch over to this camera because we're just about done now. What I'm going to ask you guys to do, and I'm going to try to make this, just keep repeating it. I was talking to Pat Redmond today. Facebook continues to be totally weird, and I'm not getting all my messages. And when I do get my messages, I can't go back and find them again. It's bizarre. So if you're going to send me a message, what I'm going to ask is just go to my website. There's a place you can send me a note. It says you want to chat. When you don't do that, it goes to me. So you can do that, or you can just send me an email through the website. That way I know I'll get it. That's all really set up very well, and I know I'll get the messages, and I'll be able to correspond with you a lot easier than if you send me a message through Instagram or through Facebook. You certainly can. I mean, I'm going to keep using them, but just know that I have better luck with going direct to the website. So that's what I got there. So yeah, did we decide? Yeah. I paid Mr. Anderson. All right, so Sean's going to look through the website, which is awesome. So Sean, do it. Let me know, and I will get that out to you. To all you other crazy people, again, schedule-wise, time-lapse comes out tomorrow. If Open Studio happens, I'm going to have to film it tomorrow, which I'm kind of pressed for time. So hopefully I have Open Studio on Wednesday as usual. If not, I will definitely have it next week. But check the schedule tomorrow to make sure. Or Wednesday I'll put up the post if I'm going to have it. And if not, I'll make a note for everyone too. And that's what I got. So, yeah, so thanks for hanging out with me. It was fun. We painted some stuff. We got some stuff done. We gave away some art. And no one got hurt, which is good. So, I want you all to have a great week. And in the immortal words of Johnny Russell, do good. So I'll catch you guys all next week. You guys are amazing.